Price Clark from Storehouse Media. How are you, Sherrie? And I know you're excited about our guest today.
I am very excited. I'm doing great. Thank you, Neil. Yeah, I've been wanting to bring our guest on today. He is Tim Chambers, Staff Sergeant Tim Chambers, um, because of what he does and what he has set an example of. So, welcome, Tim. How are
Thank
you?
you. Good,
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So, what's coming up is that Tim is known globally as the saluting Marine. And so he goes to Washington, D.C., and he stands there and he holds salutes for hours at a time. And Tim, you tell us more about that, please, and how you got started in the purpose of you doing what you do every year.
Well, the event originally was called Rolling Thunder. It was started by Vietnam veterans about 40 years ago. And it's a Prisoners of War Mission Action Awareness event. They stage at the Pentagon, come across the bridge, the Memorial Bridge around the Lincoln Down Constitution. And I really didn't know a whole lot about it. I was stationed there at the Pentagon. I was there for 9/11. Um, but the year before, I jumped out in the Korean War attire and I was a partner of the Korean War Commemoration Committee, and I set up a booth right next to the Korean War Monument and educated people about the Korean War and gave long overdue appreciation to our Korean War veterans. So I saw these vets walking around. I heard all the motorcycles, and I thought I should come out next year in my dress blues and just greet them and embrace them and learn about our history and thank them for their service. Because the only time that we thank them is when I present a flag. I salute them at the funeral. And really, are we saluting them or are we saluting the flag? I think we need to salute them too. But that's too late to thank them for their service. And it's a little hollow sentiment on the behalf of a grateful nation when I present that flag to the next of kin, because are we doing enough to show our gratitude? So the bikes are zooming by, and I thought, well, they know what a salute's about. So I jumped out the curb, popped up a salute in the middle of the street, and the bikes just rolled around me and they kept going. And I saw tears rolling down their faces, and bikes were pulling over when they went around me. I didn't know what that was about until about 3 or 4 years later. But somehow was able to hold the salute until the last bike rolled around me, and both sides of the street rushed me and they thanked me and they said, "Thank you, Marine, for giving me my welcome home."
Wow. And it's got to feel good what you're
Oh
doing.
gosh, yeah, that sends chills up me
Yeah.
just listening to that.
And the calling from that, because I've done this for 22 years now, and this will be my 23rd year. Thanks to the
Wow.
AMVETS, they decided to continue the ride that the Vietnam vets didn't want to do in DC anymore. They're getting older, and they decided to do regional rides because they have chapters throughout the country, and they've done a lot of lobbying. They have a Leave No Man Behind Act that they helped to get into place to kind of provide that blanket of security for the men and women that are sent down range, that our country won't leave them behind, kind of thing. So it was a lot of advocacy and awareness, because we need accountability and closure. But because of that, I get called to go all over the country and just be there for families, and a lot of hospice going on. I've been in a lot of hospice beds lately, and all branches. And I just embrace them and I embrace their families, and talk about how special their service really was, that I don't even think the pastor at the church gets, when they're just reading what was in the paper about their life sometimes. Because
Right.
in the life, you never know where you're going to end up. And sometimes there's not that connection that usually you would have with, your faith, you know.
Absolutely. Sherrie, this it's when you first learned about this, it really brought tears, I'm sure, right? And of joy in a way.
Well, it was amazing. I worked with Tim on his children's book. He did a children's book called The Saluting Marine. And he had called me, and we worked on that book. And this was, a time when, well, with this country, we were kneeling at games. We weren't, sports events. We weren't standing for the flag and all of these things. And Tim, in that children's book, is trying to bring those values back to our children.
Mm.
Standing for the flag, respecting our military, taking the child to, the cemetery, Arlington Cemetery and talking to him about that. And I was so inspired by this man and this author doing that in a time when it wasn't cool. But he did it, and we got the book out, and it's just been amazing. Yeah.
In the book, it's a neat little storyline, but it's not just about standing for the flag.
Yes.
It's actually inspiring the kid to add something to the flag. It's a moral compass. Sometimes we get lost, but if we can remember what the flag represents, we can find our way.
And part of
Tim,
your
and you
children's book is education, isn't it, Tim? To really educate kids what the flag means.
Well, yes, because they go by the monuments in DC and they learn that people march for freedom and people march for equality. So who we honor when we stand for the flag are those people. Um, and then obviously it's just a little neat story to develop empathy for military families that might not have gone through what the military families go through. Because there's a picture on the wall. Hey, mom, why is dad always look at the photo? It's his buddy. He misses him. Just like how you miss your friend who moved away last summer. So they go to Arlington and the kid goes, "Who's this, dad?" "Oh, it's my buddy. I miss him. He saved my life. We named you after him." His picture's on the wall at home.
Yeah,
How
it's about the morals that trying to instill those patriotic morals in our children again. And to me, it was inspiring. As a mother, it was very inspiring.
And there's some Mr. Rogers stuff in there. There's you're special just the way you are. There's listen to other people. You can learn a lot from others. Study hard. You can do whatever you want to do. It's just some really deep messages that you guys, for over 20 years, I've been writing on pictures um, that I have to pay Getty's images for of myself that was in the papers and the magazines. I at least ask for a discount. I understand that photographers need to eat, but I just give these photos away and I sign, and I've been writing those things on pictures for years. So the book has evolved, because when you say you're going to write a book, you think about it, 15 years will go by real quick and you're like, I think I'm going to write the book now. But the whole time, though, you're thinking about it. And it really kind of evolved with my volunteerism, basically, being there for people.
and that's the thing is the giving. And the hope is education, but the hope is also to give back. And I think when you salute these fallen these heroes, not just the fallen heroes, you always salute, but the ones that are still alive that have fought for our country, we need to respect them. We need to honor them. We need to be there for them.
Yes, a
Make
lot
them
more
feel
than what we're
special.
doing.
That's right. Make
It's,
them feel special because they are special. What they
and,
do
and
for us every day.
yeah, and not just welcome home. That's not enough.
No.
You need to say, "What's your name?" "Wow. Did you know that I got to do this because you went to Vietnam and I didn't?" I'm really sorry for what they made you do. I don't think they should have sent you, maybe, if that's how you feel. But also, we need to say, "What do you do now? Are you painting houses?" "Well, I'm going to thank you for your service by putting my trust in you again. And I'm going to go to my community and I'm going to make you a millionaire. I'm going to find you $100,000 worth of business because my circle of friends, they need people that paint houses. And we're going to call
Mhm.
you." That's what I inspire people. And they thank me for my service. I embrace it because we need it. Just like when they say, "Sir," and I'm enlisted, I don't play those games because we need to embrace that. I go, "You can thank me by going and putting a veteran to work in your community and let me know about it. You know,
Yeah.
like let's do a little bit more."
Wow.
Absolutely. And Tim, you have other books you want to write, other children's books that each one has a set of morals in there that you again want to instill and bring out to our children.
Yeah, it's very important because the biggest growing family is single parent homes, and they need a lot of help, a lot of compassion. And that book was called Honor. That's one of our core values. Salute Marine presents Honor. The next one will be Courage, and that will be dedicated to the kids of the inner city. that I think are kind of forgotten. And I'm going to meet a young girl that thinks we have nothing in common because she's Black. And she learns that we have a lot in common when we go through her neighborhood together. Even the bad candies in my neighborhood, too. The same thing happened to my cousin that happened to your aunt. And she tells me, my mom doesn't live with me anymore, but I get to see her all the time. Would you like to meet her? I'm like, absolutely. And she takes me to the cemetery. And she says, my mom used to say that it was harder to survive here at home in the streets. But after her third trip with the army, she started to feel really heavy. And one night she fell asleep and she didn't wake up. And I want to be brave like my mother. So we go through her community. And at the end, I tell her how brave she is every day. And she wants me to stay with her. But I tell her I can't because when I was young like you, I didn't further my education. So now, while all my friends are out playing, I have to go to work.
Yep. Wow. And
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 the
I
third
think
one's commitment.
I think Tim, the other books you want to write, it's something. It's a passion that doesn't feel like work having to write these books, does it?
No, no, what I do is not work. Now, I made the mistake to bring my wife along on a venture and say it was a vacation,
That's not
but
good.
it's
That's not a
not a
good thing. I've
vacation.
learned that. I've
I
learned that.
know.
Yeah. You want to be able to stay married. So when you choose and say, okay, we're doing this, we're doing a trip. No, it's really a business trip. You know,
Yes.
You
you
need to go home.
put that whole business. Oh, it's a business trip, but you might not see me, but you're gonna get to go somewhere.
Well, and I'm dragging her everywhere because I embrace so many people. And over the years, the salute it was to represent military, it was to honor military, but really there was more to it. And it didn't surface in my mind until years later that I'm not only thanking veterans, but I'm thanking patriots. I'm thanking people that didn't have to take an oath to serve their country, that are doing that ride to honor others, to stand for others. Anytime you help another American, you're a patriot. And I always bring that up in speeches around the country when people only thank the military and the first responders, but the majority of the people that are there today are people that never took an oath. And I envy them and I admire them because they're serving. There's so many ways to serve. It doesn't take an oath to serve your country
Right.
necessarily.
It doesn't. And so powerful. Sherry, what else do you have to ask Tim?
I just, when are you going back to DC? What's the date? Is
It's next Sunday. It's next
yes.
Sunday. Rolling to Remember is next Sunday. And this year, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to be at my post holding the salute, but I'm going to do some sword manual. I'm going to
Wow.
bust out a sword and salute with the sword for a bit. I think that'll make it very special. I was a mascot in high school, sir. So, the enthusiasm has always been there. And that's why I'm remembered. My drill instructor just reached out to me like last week that he remembered me. He remembered where I was from. He remembered how hard they were on me, you know, and to be remembered with respect, there's nothing beyond that. The thing is, I just keep getting called to go over the country, and a lot of the families don't have the means to get me there to stand next to the bed to sing the Marines hymn or to play the other hymns or do something special. And I was singing the Marines hymn bedside with this Korean War Marine, and his foot was tapping, but he couldn't open his eyes. And his wife was in the bed next to him on another hospice bed with dementia.
Wow. So, what kind of take us place? What will happen next Sunday? Talk about it for.
Well, Rolling to Remember, it actually starts Friday at the National Cathedral. They're going to do a bike blessing. The National Cathedral is a pretty amazing cathedral in DC, where like all the presidents go. Um, and then Friday night, we go to the Vietnam Memorial and do a candlelight vigil. And then Sunday, we stage at the Pentagon, actually at the Pentagon, in the parking lot of the Pentagon. And at noon, they're going to roll out of the Pentagon. They're going to come across. Well, I'm going to leave at 10 because I've got a police escort to get me across the bridge to my post, which is right by the Lincoln Monument at 23rd and Constitution. I will greet everyone, and I'm going to do some cameos to people, like do little snippet videos, to anyone that reaches out with some information about their loved one, and maybe do a little salute to them. and then I'll just pray I don't have to use the bathroom for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
I haven't had to so far, knock on wood, 22 years of pulling this off. It's not going to be so hot and humid is what it looks like. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay. It's rained before, but it has been very hot and humid. And normally the ride would be 4+ hours. It's hundreds of thousands of motorcycles. So they're rebuilding. And I will do my salute. The bikes will roll around. I'll hug some Gold Star family members that'll be on the back of the bikes that they'll pull up to me. People will come up to me and they'll salute. Kids will come up and salute. And I turn them around and have them salute with me. And I talk to them about what we're doing and why we're doing it, kind of thing. So I'm going to embrace people. It is very emotional. It's like a reunion for a lot of the bikers that come there over the years and they see the saluting Marine. And then new people, new people. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fresh wounds with the families. And when they come to DC, and it's not all about DC, Memorial Day is not all about DC. It's wherever the blood flowed. There's been
Yes.
sacrifice, and that's important. And I have a sergeant major that doesn't come because his son's buried in Philadelphia, so he doesn't go to DC. So I completely understand and understand that. And I'd probably be doing the same thing. So I'll hold my salute, pray I don't fall over, um, and reach people and inspire people, and it will probably
Yes.
get a lot of traction. Um, and at first I didn't like the cameras, because I'm like, go away. But I saw it further the mission because it got out there.
Yes.
And that's important. That's important. So I'll just do what I've done. I'll hang on. I know how to play with this right up here, you guys. Okay. When I'm cramping up, and I'm left-handed. I don't even use this hand, you guys. But
Right.
anyways, so
All
yep,
right.
that's what we're looking at.
Best place we can find you and pick up your book. Where can we go?
Yeah, the salutingmarine.com. And in any way you want to support me, to be honest with you, because I created a charity. And you create a charity to work with companies, okay? Because most people that throw down, a donation, they're not really that worried about a tax write-off because you can just put that in the tax document. You don't have to have like a receipt 99% of the time.
Right.
And I really want to tap into some companies to be able to allow me, because I've got like 8 or 9 families that inquired for me to go to their loved ones and be there for them before they pass away. And I try to ask them, sadly, what means you have to get me there. And I meet people half and half. And then I tap dance to my wife later. And I just bury myself in credit cards. And then I need to do it the smart way. That's why I created a charity, not to penny and dime society, but just to work with the companies.
Yes.
So I just could use a little support that way because I'll still make it happen one way or the other, you guys. Just like I made that book happen. Okay. I was doing deliveries with a ruptured Achilles tendon during COVID, and I made that book happen. Okay. And it was COVID. Everything was shut down, but we were
You
productive.
made it
Our
happen. You'll
charity.
make it happen again, man, for sure.
Oh, yes. Yes,
All right.
absolutely.
And we can go to storehousemediagroup.com to learn more about what Sherrie does, how she takes your idea all the way to the movies. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you very